The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, he'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Welcome back to Rushcliffe again, people, and unlike Ruddington, which we saw yesterday, this one is not a mammoth 2-hour walk. There's plenty of houses in this one. It's a very residential part of Nottinghamshire, this, and the Grantham Canal will make an appearance again. We've mentioned that before a few times. It actually forms part of this parish's boundary. This is Gamston. Gamston, Gamel's farm. Today we're in Gamston, and if you think you've heard that name before, well, you have. Way back in the first year of TVI, I visited the other Gamston in Nottinghamshire and got to experience a flight in a small aircraft. That video is linked in today's end screen. However, Nottinghamshire has another Gamston, and it's very, very different. In Bassetlaw, we were in a place dominated by an active airfield, and the village had very few houses. Here, there are hundreds of houses. This is almost like a suburb, in fact, connected as it is to the town of West Bridgford. More than 2,000 people live in the Rushcliffe Gamston, and there's definitely no airfield. Most of the homes in Gamston were built in or after the 1980s as part of the expansion of West Bridgford. The homes range from 2-bedroom bungalows to 1-bedroom terraces to 5-bedroom family homes. There's even an area of caravans, which has a name that'll make you sing a well-known song when we get to it. Trust me, it will, and it'll be in your head for days afterwards. You're welcome. It all lies on the banks of the Grantham Canal, which acts as the parish boundary. In 2009, Gamston was proposed as the site for a 45,000-seater football stadium. It was supposedly to host games in the 2018 World Cup, which, of course, England weren't actually awarded, but it would have also been a new home for Nottingham Forest. It was never built, but there is still a football ground here. Let's see what else there is. Gamston, Mark II, let's go. We start on the banks of a familiar waterway. Hello again, Grantham Canal. The last time we saw this, we were at Hickling Basin, which of course is still in water. This stretch of the canal is also still in water, and if you look closely, you can see the remains of some of its infrastructure. Because the canal acts as Gamston's southern and western border, these first two landmarks are right on the parish boundary. They are two locks, namely Gamston Lock and Bridgford Lock. Gamston Lock, which is this, was notable as the first winding hole or broad pool on the canal. Here, barges measuring anything up to 75 feet long could turn. Bridgford Lock, a little up the canal towards Nottingham, was just a standard lock. The canal had 18 locks in total, most of which have been demolished. These two, though, remain, and although they're not navigable for obvious reasons, they could, in theory, be restored. The towpath at this point, though, has already been restored. Gamston is known for its network of good footways, and you can follow the canal using the restored towpath. Let's do that now, towards Bridgford Lock and on into Gamston itself. Okay, so the main road through Gamston is called Ambleside, and that's where we are right now. We're going to head north here towards the A52. We're going to catch a business on the way in a second, but I just want to show you something behind the camera before I go any further, and that is Ambleside Park. There we go. That's the main sort of park here in Gamston, and doesn't that look lovely in all the autumn colours? Right, let's check out this business. It's called Pedigree Wholesale. Pedigree Wholesale is a family-owned business that's been supplying pet and aquatic products to independent retailers since 1972. It was founded by two friends and their wives. From those humble beginnings, the company now partners with over 2,000 customers and makes an average of 4,500 deliveries every month. The company offer over 10,000 products, including their own brands and products from brands around the world. In 2018, Pedigree Wholesale bought Just for Pets after that company collapsed, saving 18 out of the 25 chain's existing sites and 180 jobs. Gamston is more of a suburb than a village these days. There is one area you could define as being the centre of it all, but mostly it's suburban housing, built mainly in the 1980s or later, and its relative newness can be a little samey. Unless you know where to go, that is. Now, we've already seen Gamston Lock, but there's another landmark with the same name just off the A52. This is the Gamston Lock Pub, which I've had the pleasure of staying in before. I can thoroughly recommend it too. The pub is, of course, named after the lock on the canal, but it wasn't originally. Before 2013, the locals knew this as the Bridge at Gamston. It was renamed after it was rebuilt, following a fire in December of that year. The blaze was a really bad one. It gutted the entire building, leaving only the external walls. The new pub is an absolute beauty. It's family friendly and has a relaxed atmosphere. It's got a beer garden for outdoor dining and some contemporary rooms with farmhouse style touches. Speaking of the A52, here that is. The Gamston Lock is on the roundabout where the A52 meets the A6011, which runs through West Bridgford and into Nottingham. The roundabout is known as Gamston Island, and the locals have a love-hate relationship with it. Major improvements on this stretch of the A52 have recently caused a fair number of delays and frustration for drivers. The widening of the road and extra safety measures for cyclists and pedestrians are among the new features of the roundabout. Work on the scheme first began in January 2022, and it was initially expected to take a year. Bad weather continually delayed the project, with rain preventing teams from carrying out things like white lining and installing high friction anti-skid surfacing. Okay, so this is the part of the route where I've basically got to dice with death because I've got to walk down the A52 and there's no footpath on this side. I'm on the grass verge, which is quite wide, so I'm fairly safe here, but this is why I wear a high-vis, just for this kind of situation. Didn't see the point in crossing the road to then cross back over again, because you've got to get across about 4 or 5 lanes of traffic. It's very difficult to do. So yeah, we're going to stay on this side just for a few moments and take a footpath off to the right, which will take us back into the houses. Now we're in what I define as the village centre, and this is the village hall. It's located on the old Tollerton Road, which used to link Gamston to Tollerton before the A52 got in the way. Easily accessed by foot from practically anywhere in the parish, it can hold up to 40 people. The hall is available for hire, and a number of groups meet here regularly. These include the local Rainbows and the Brownies. It's quite surprising how many old buildings there are here, right in the old centre of Gamston. I know that sounds a bit, obvious to say, but when you're in a village like this, which is mainly all modern housing, you forget there was actually an original village before all that came along. Now, outside the village hall, there's the parish notice board. I haven't got many of these left to leave in Rushcliffe, have I? Let's put this one on the board and let's mark Gamston off the list. And with this one done, we're down to 5. Now, not far from the village hall, there's a collection of residences that are a little different from those we've seen so far. Get ready, folks, because you're all about to have a song stuck in your head. Now this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a caravan park called Bel Air. That song is now in your head. I thank you. Now, in theory, we've covered practically everything within Gamston Parish at this point, except for a sports ground, which we'll catch at the end. However, there's more to Gamston than this. It just so happens to be on the other side of the Grantham Canal, and therefore not in the parish. That didn't stop me from taking a look, though. Literally just over the canal off Ambleside is Gamston Community Hall. This is operated like the village hall, but the difference is Rushcliffe Borough Council are the ones in charge. It has 2 rooms, a large hall that can accommodate 150 people and a smaller meeting room that can accommodate 30. Indoor sports, fitness classes, playgroups, children's parties, community gatherings and educational classes all take place here. The community hall sits in an area full of local shops, all within walking distance of the main supermarket in the area, Morrisons. Fun fact for you, when Safeway, a supermarket chain that we used to have here in the UK, went bust, Morrisons stepped in and bought them. Most of their former stores have been converted into Morrisons supermarkets, and Gamston is no exception. However, Gamston's claim to fame is that this supermarket was the first Safeway to be converted to a Morrisons in 2004. The merger of the 2 supermarket groups was valued at £3 billion, and Morrisons plan to convert 3 Safeway stores every week over the next 3 years. Okay, we're all the way around the route here in Gamston, but there is one more thing I would like to talk about before we bring this episode to a close. You see, just north of the A52, there's a sports area, and this will be interesting to you if you're a fan of Nottingham Forest. To finish with, we have that sports ground located on Regatta Way, north of Gamston towards Home Pierpoint. Currently, this is the home of West Bridgford Football Club, who were founded in 1990 as West Bridgford Colts, a junior team. The senior side wouldn't be founded until 2011. They're currently members of the United Counties League Division 1, which sits at level 10 in the English football pyramid. If everything had gone to plan though, West Bridgford might not have been the only team playing here today. Back in 2018, the World Cup was held in Russia, but it could have been held in England had our bid been successful. It wasn't, as we know. Had it have been successful though, Gamston was the proposed site for a brand new stadium to be used in the tournament. It would have had a capacity of 45,000, and the plan was for Nottingham Forest to move into the ground after the World Cup was over. This of course never happened, and Forest remain at the City Ground, which is just down the road in West Bridgford itself. And we are done with Gamston, folks. Now it's time to head up Regatta Way a bit further, because our next job is to see the parish that shares a council with Gamston. Get ready for a country park, a huge hall, and some major water sports facilities. See you tomorrow. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.